Good evening. Welcome to Politica Podcast. We got Jake Sawyer with us today, former Weber County Party Chair, but now you're in the legislature.
We made it.
You made it.
We're here.
Quite a race you had there.
Yeah, that was a fun one. We had a good time. Obviously, being the first big race, you're learning every single day on the job, but we had a great time. Met a lot of fun people and knocked every single door that we could in the district.
Yeah.
So.
You've had quite a run. I mean, you got married, right?
7 months ago.
You got elected. Yeah,
it's been a crazy 24.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your experience in the legislature.
Well, being just a little over halfway through, I would say this way so far, I think everybody should do this, right? Everybody should have this opportunity to see how it's really done, right? How are appropriations handled? How is a bill made, right? And I know everybody wants to talk about, the little school video, right? The music video about it.
Yeah.
But
I'm just a bill.
Yeah, I'm just, exactly, right? But coming and watching and seeing how it actually happens is fascinating, right? And the discussions that you have and the relationships, that right there, if I could put it into one word, that's what it's all about, is relationships. It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you really move things through the system, right?
Yep.
And it's about communicating those ideas, right?
Right, and it's not that you have to have a relationship with just leadership or, senior members, right? It's just having relationships with everybody, right? Everybody is bringing ideas. Everybody is bringing different thoughts to the table. And it is fascinating to sit and watch all of the human interactions, right? I love to sit at my desk and watch all the phone calls happening, right? And trying to guess who's talking to who and, what bill are they talking about? Right. It's fascinating.
So let's talk about your first bill.
Yeah.
You actually passed the law. Well, the governor still has to sign it, so we better not spoil that. But.
Yeah, I was given great advice to not do a difficult bill my first session, right? But I still needed to do a bill so that I could figure out how the system worked.
Right.
So I got in touch with the Morgan County Commissioners.
Thanks for taking care of them. That's part of my
district. They're great. Lost Creek State Park and Utah Raptor State Park both were created in 2021. For whatever reason, were not put into the same part of code that every other state park currently exists with. This part of code allows them to access funds from UDOT to manage the access roads for these state parks. So all we were doing was just adding these two new state parks to the code with all the rest, I think 46 other state parks in Utah.
Wow.
That was it. So it was a very simple, easy bill.
So was that just overlooked before?
Yeah, just overlooked. It was during the COVID years, right? When a lot of things were moving and happening and yeah.
So how did you even know it was overlooked?
Honestly, a lobbyist called me that helps with Morgan County and just said, hey, these guys are really looking to get this road fixed and need some help.
That sounds like a commissioner we used to have.
It does, a very good one. Yeah, so they needed some help. And so I opened the bill file and come to find out Utah Raptor State Park also hadn't been added to the code. So it was actually a good thing that we're finding these other parks that needed the help as well.
Oh,
yeah, it was great.
So, and you worked with Senator Harper, right?
Yeah. Senator Harper.
Yeah,
and he was great. I mean, it got circled for a second, so it made me nervous, but he came back and got it done.
I wonder if that's when he was on the dais.
Yeah, I'm sure he was out doing something.
Yeah, so Senator Harper sometimes acts as president pro tem, so he'll go up on the dais to kind of direct the thing. Well, when you're up there, if your bill is called, you can't. You can't do it, right? So. Yep. So somebody actually circles it, and then he, it's kind of interesting though. He had maybe 8 bills the other day that had been circled that he went through.
Well, and luckily for me,
the good thing he was on a roll, right? People were just saying, "Oh, well, we better vote for it. It's Harper's bill, right?"
Exactly. Well, and the good thing is I didn't know about consent calendar. Right, so Representative Christofferson actually recommended that in the House committee meeting when I presented. And that really kind of was cool to see, right? Especially with my freshman class that I'm a part of. I was able to tell them about it because we didn't really know, so that was a neat little trick. So I'm glad to have, been given that little advance there.
So what committee did that come to in the
transportation.
Senate? Oh, transportation.
Yep. They went to
That's
transportation.
Harper's committee, right?
Right, and my committee on the House side.
Oh, that's your committee
Yeah.
on the House side.
Yeah.
Who chairs that on the House side?
Representative Christofferson.
Okay.
Yep, and he's great. He's fantastic.
Right.
So we have a good time with him.
That's great. So you know, before we started, we were talking about another thing that you were really interested in.
Yeah. So in my appropriations committee, which is also transportation and infrastructure, we see a lot of higher ed coming in, asking for new buildings, which makes sense, right? We need new buildings. We need to expand our campuses. Nothing wrong with that. I just started to question the cost, right? My background is in mortgages and in the real estate world. And so I see a lot of the, price per square foot is a big deal for everybody. At least hopefully it is. And some of these, actually every building that was coming through for requests for money was over $900 a square foot. I mean, I'd have to go back to get exact, but average I would say is $970 a square foot. And I just sat and thought, if I were to build a house or a commercial building even at that price, how insanely luxurious would that be? Right. So I started looking around, and I get location and, different comparables and all of that matter. But the Empire State Building is worth $2.5 billion, has just over 2.7 million square feet. And if you divide that out, that comes to $908 a square foot. The Astra Tower in Salt Lake, tallest building in Salt Lake City skyline, private residence building, right? Very nice. It's worth $270 million and has, I believe, over 60,000 square feet. That's under $400 a square foot. I think it's $330 a square foot, right? It just shows there's such a huge.
So you're like
where
that building costs that much, and it's almost double for this one on the university campus.
Exactly, and it's instructional rooms, right? These aren't laboratories or these mini nuclear reactors like the university has, right? They're instructional rooms. They're math and STEM classes, right? What are we doing? So. Anyway, I would love to look into, why is our bidding pool so small if that's where our numbers are coming in at? What is going on? So.
And do you think a lot of that's driven by the architects and? Because I love, of course, I used to be a professor, right?
Yeah.
So at Utah State, we built the new building, Huntsman Hall, and it's a beautiful facility, right? The hallways in this are bigger than the rooms. Right. And there's so many students that have to funnel through there. But yeah, they're very nicely done, and it's not like we don't want nice buildings, right?
Exactly. But where's the rest of it? Where
But the one what was the tower you brought up?
The Astra Tower in Salt Lake. Yep.
And I've been in that building. It's pretty nice.
It's an incredible building.
That's like half?
A third.
A third of the price?
A third of the price. And so I'm just wondering why. Maybe there's stuff that I don't know, which that's very possible. There could be some really high-tech things going into some of these buildings, right? That, I'm a college dropout, so I don't know what goes on in some of these buildings. But to me, I think this is an area that maybe we could save some money as taxpayers, right? It might be some of the low-hanging fruit that we could just look at and see if there's something there.
We're going to take a break. We'll come right back. Welcome back to Politicket. We've got Jake Sawyer, Representative Jake Sawyer.
Jake's great.
Right. So since this is your first session, what debates that have come up are kind of at the top of your mind, and how did I'm more concerned about talking about your feelings and how this has affected you, and what you think of the whole process than really the policy, although the policies are important.
I think for me, again, it goes back to the relationships, right? I have found that you cannot read every bill, right? Everybody thinks that if this is all I'm doing for the whole time, that you should be able to read every line of every bill. Just isn't the case. So when I go out onto the floor and we have bills that we're hearing, I've got a few people that I know that I can trust, that I've built those relationships with, that I'll make the phone call just from my desk to chat with them. A couple of those people, Representative Thurston, Representative Mike Peterson, and Representative Ken Ivory
Are ones that
they are my true north.
Yeah.
Right. If I can vote along their lines, I know that I am going to be absolutely solid.
And so, and that happens some because we have people that are experts in different areas.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if a police bill, public safety, if those come across the Senate, I actually have my intern. We each get in the Senate. We get a full.
Yeah, you don't have to share.
We don't have to share.
Yeah.
But my intern actually briefs most of the bills for me.
Wow.
And he's gotten really good at it. And I'll read through. Some of them, some bills. It's kind of like you're reclassifying the parks, right?
Yeah.
There may be 3 or 4 lines. You have to get used to reading a bill though, because
Yep.
you just read the underlined portions, right?
Right.
Because that's all that's changing in the code. It's funny because one of my constituents called me and said, why are you changing this? And I said, I'm not changing that. No, they're voting to change this stuff. And I said, that's already the law. The only thing this bill does is what's underlined.
Right.
That's where it's making modifications, right? So that makes it a little bit easier to read.
Absolutely.
Right. But you still need, someone to, like for instance, on law enforcement stuff, if I'm concerned about something, I'll actually call Representative Wilcox.
Yeah.
Because I know he has an in-depth understanding of
Yep.
that because that's his committee.
Yep.
That's what he does.
And same, my mentor's Representative Gwynn.
Yeah.
Right? Or Representative Clancy. I'll call him. My medical person is Representative Hall.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I call her and she gives me a very good
explanation,
reason as to why.
And,
yeah.
Well, and then you can use your judgment.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But you want to understand the issue, not just what's written in the bill. You want to understand what motivated it.
Right.
Why it's there. And there's a lot of bills, quite frankly, like yours, not to say anything, but what you did made sense. Right?
Right.
That's not something I have to spend hours thinking about.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is why it was on consent calendar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just easy to understand. No debate, no arguing. It just moves.
So what are some of the issues that have come up that had a lot of debate that you had to make decisions on?
The vaping bill. That one was a big one. And I get.
Now, what's the status of that right now?
Oh, I believe that one's just being worked on still. I know it came out of the House.
Okay.
But I believe it's being held in the Senate right now for maybe some more fixes or something.
Right. And that was basically unwinding some of what happened last session, right?
Yes, exactly.
Where we banned flavored vapes.
Exactly. The funny thing that I'm finding here is it was very easy as a county party chair or just, a regular citizen to sit back and go, why didn't you vote for that? Senator, come on. That's such an easy one to vote for.
Yeah.
Now being the one that has to put that vote out, it is very weighing, right? To make sure that I do the right thing.
Well, and there's nuances that people aren't picking up on.
The headlines don't give you all of the nitty gritty, right? The headlines don't give you all of the emails that I've gotten in my email on both sides of this argument, right? From actual constituents.
Right. Constituents that have that bill's going to affect.
Exactly. That have taken the time out of their day to let me know what they think.
Right.
That has to mean something.
Right.
Right.
And actually, that's really an important part of our job.
I'm a representative, right?
Right.
I mean, hello. Yeah. So we heard that bill in committee, and I actually voted for it out of committee because I believe in people's personal liberty, right? If you want to smoke and you want to vape, then that's your choice. Now I can understand when people say, some of these flavors are directed directly at kids. I can see what you're saying, but there's a ton of alcohol that is also peach and cotton candy and cherry flavored, and right. I mean, that's to me an invalid argument. But at the end of the day, again, Representative Peterson, Representative Thurston, they're who I sit directly by.
Right.
I was talking to them while the debate was going on the floor, and they just said, we do not want this to ever get close to kids. And that was their end argument.
That's
where
kind
it
of
stopped.
where the line was drawn for them, right?
Yeah.
And so in a way, that kind of made you change
my mind. Yeah, because I thought, I don't have kids yet, but hopefully one day we do. And I don't want my kids to have vapes around, right? So, yeah, I voted.
It's kind of sad because we finally got to the point where tobacco was not cool anymore.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. And vape now is cool.
Right.
Now it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, because it smells good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but, when you really look into it, it's probably more destructive than tobacco.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing I know out of the bill that he was going to do more research.
I should say cigarettes, right? But,
yeah. But I do think we're going to see more harmful things coming from all of this in years to come. That's what always happens, right? We're always 10, 15 years behind. Anyway, that one has been fascinating.
One of the things people forget is liberty is about choice and avoidance. Right? Mm-hmm. Things that bind your soul do not make you free.
Right.
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 And so being liberty minded, and this is where I've come to on it. Being liberty minded means I don't want things that are going to bind people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And make them less free.
Exactly.
Right. Liberty doesn't mean we just eat, drink, and be merry and
we forget about the rest.
Yeah, and we forget about the rest. It's choice and it's avoidant.
Yep.
Right? And so, and I think that's an important principle.
Yeah. One thing I would love to see, through this whole process is the community involvement, right? I can't tell you how much it means to get a constituent email or a text or a phone call, because it helps me see their point of view. I am one person with my one singular viewpoint, and there are how many thousands that we're supposed to be representing.
Well, and you have to weigh that with all of your constituents.
Right.
Right. I mean, I got lots of emails from people on the union bill.
Mm-hmm. Same.
As a matter of principle, though, I came down on the side of saying, what's right for taxpayers? What's right? And so there were lots of constituents that you have to listen to.
Well, and see, I have a hard part when it's, the UTA bill as well. Uh-huh. Right? We argue we want transparency, and then we've got the fits-all scholarship. Right? We also want transparency there, and it's
right.
It's trying to find that easy medium and make sure we're covering all of those bases. And anyway, they're difficult bills, but
yeah. Well, I got a phone call yesterday that kind of cracked me up. It was on my voicemail, and the guy said, "I just got a call, and they told me I should call you about 267, and so don't vote for it." Okay, he didn't even know what the bill was about, right? And he just got a call, right? Sounds like someone's spending money to lobby that.
Or you see
that actually makes me want to vote against it, whatever it is.
Well, did you get the emails that in the subject line it said, "Please vote against HB 235," but in the subject it was, "Dear Mr. Representative, HB 267," right? So they was copy and pasting all day long, right? And they would get the subject line wrong, but they'd get the body right. And anyway, those made me laugh. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Somebody's spending a lot of money to send this stuff out.
And what I want to hear from is a constituent that is genuinely affected by what I'm doing, right?
Right.
So, well, any parting thoughts?
I just appreciate the chance to do this and have this opportunity. It has been absolutely incredible, and I think everybody should get this chance to do this. But while I'm here getting my shot, I would love any constituents that would love to come and see the Capitol, or spend some time or chat about some issues, to please reach out and find some time. Let's have a conversation.
Amazing experience, isn't it?
Incredible, humbling.
I remember my very first session, looking up in the Senate chamber around and thinking, man, people have been coming here for a long time.
Oh,
over 100 years.
Right.
and I can't believe I'm even here.
Right. That you get to have a chance to have your name on that desk.
Yeah.
Right. It makes me emotional.
Yeah.
You know, when we say the prayer and the pledge in the morning, why do I get to be here? You know,
Right. Yeah.
This is incredible that I get to do this every day and devote myself to making Utah a better place to live for everybody.
Right.
You know, this is incredible. Yeah. Fills me with pride.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Anyway.
Jake Sawyer, representative. What district is yours again?
9.
9.
Best one in the county. Best one in the state.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next week.